Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 74 of the Disney Infinity and Beyond podcast with me, Roger, here in the UK, and Abe there in sunny California.
How's it going, everybody?
All right. And I'm here in Maleficent's dungeon in a very dark, dingy room this morning. It's a storm outside. We're right in the middle of the Christmas season, and hopefully everyone's had a great Christmas period, and also maybe got some Infinity presents. I'd love to know in the comments below what you guys got for Christmas, if you got anything Infinity related. So, Abe, have a good Christmas.
Oh yeah, plenty of time with the family. Lots of food, lots of drinking. It was a happy time.
Yes, I had a couple of days off, and then since they're back to reality, I'm back to playing new video games. So you can't beat that.
Exactly.
So in this episode, we are going to basically, kind of as we'd expect, no news this week. Nothing really of any importance. So we are going to look back at the 2015 year. And just kind of share our thoughts on the year and how it's gone and stuff. So overall, Abe, what did you think of 2015?
Well, I mean, like gaming wise with Infinity, absolutely awesome. I think it's definitely one of the better launches they've had. I think out of the three, I mean, the first one was great because it was the first one that was introducing everything. 2 was good too, but obviously it had its kinks. But 3 was phenomenal. Not to mention you have the backing of an awesome franchise, which is Star Wars, and I don't know. I mean, I was quite pleased with everything they selected so far. I mean, even the Disney side characters. We got our wish too with Sam and Korra. I mean, like it was a good year, and there was a lot of great events. Disney was, I mean, eons generous with people. I mean, at all the fan events, at all the media events, at everything. They were A plus, A grade hospitality, perfect company with everybody. And I think what they did with the game was great. It was really good.
I was going to say, I mean, looking back at 2015, it seems to be a much more. There's been a lot more content, a lot more for the gamer, and also in terms of news and releases and stuff. It seems to have been a very different year to 2014, where we had a few sporadic toy box characters at the beginning, and then we had Marvel, and then we didn't really have a lot more. This year, it's felt a lot more spread out, and I think that's good for fans to have. I think that was the thing with 2.0 was that you had so much come out at launch, and then we didn't get anything. This year's been a lot more spread out, and I just feel it felt a lot more interesting. It felt a much bigger year for 2015. It felt like all the pieces came together, and they kind of learned some bits and pieces and worked out what was working and what wasn't. And all the events over the summer before launch just kept building that hype train. And I feel like since launch of the game, it feels like with all these sporadic releases, like every few weeks, it's felt like we've had something. It's felt that momentum has kept growing rather than just sort of stopping and just kind of going along. It definitely felt a lot better in terms of having those sporadic releases right through since August. I mean, we're 4 or 5 months later, and we still just only had a new playset released last week, and we got ones coming up in the future. But yeah, no, it's kind of looking really cool year of 2015. I just think it's one of those situations they seem to have learned a lot from it.
No, it's definitely overall, I think definitely quite an improvement based on the past 2 years. So it was good.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at the 2.0 stuff first before we get into all the 3.0 stuff. So let's just have a quick look back at what we saw. So at the beginning of the year, we saw we had the Green Goblin, we had Ronan, and then we also had Yondu released in January, which kind of, I think they were kind of, it was a bit of an odd release because I think it felt like everyone was waiting really for Loki, and he was put back to March with Falcon. It's just those toy box characters, they could be used in the play set, etc. But I don't really remember them being. I don't know. It was like some of the characters were big. Some of the characters didn't seem to kind of get off the ground as much as maybe we thought they would have done.
Yeah, I also think it was strategic, though. I think they felt like, Yondu is, because of the success of Guardians of the Galaxy, Yondu is probably going to be a popular figure as it was to sell, and then probably to extend it close to the next fiscal quarter. Even though it's at the end, I mean, March is still part of it. I think at the end of it, it continues sales for the next one with Loki, which is definitely a popular character, and also Falcon. I think that was probably one of the most unique. In fact, one of my favorite characters of the last launch. But it was definitely strategic, in my opinion. But yeah, for us, the fans and who are buying it, it did feel a little odd.
Yeah, and then we had kind of the mess of those two power discs. That kind of we had Captain Marvel and the Ultimate Falcon costume change, which we'd found out about at launch. We'd found out. I remember Arjun had sent me a picture of them from his computer screen, going, "Look at these discs," and Disney just basically just didn't mention them and didn't mention them for months and months and months, and eventually got released. And then they went, "Oh, by the way, they're only going to be in North America in a 2-pack." Which just was always this kind of big kind of like, it was a big fury of people, because everyone like myself outside of the US was like, well, seriously, you're doing that with a power disc? But I like the way they sold the discs, but it was a big hoopla for people outside, and that was a kind of a bit of a downer at that time. For if you're in the US, you didn't worry about it, but for people outside, it was quite a bit of a slap.
I think Disney had the worst issue with power discs, and I mean, this dates back from 1.0, and the only reason why I say that is, first, people weren't fans of blind bags. Then the accessories, they could not figure out a consistent accessory for your power discs. Then I think what was very apparent with 2.0 was the fact that A, there was probably too many, and B, when it came to those exclusive additional discs that they wanted to give out, it's like I felt like maybe they weren't 100% sure how to handle it. Like, let's not forget, on the Disney side, the other two discs that were kind of a mess, which was the Aladdin discs. Okay, cool. I have my Aladdin figure way early in the year. Then later on, they're going to release Jasmine and by herself. Oh, and if I want these power discs, I can buy them in a 2-pack with Aladdin again. It was a mess. But anyways, going back to those 2 discs, great packaging, awesome. Like, this is what we've been asking for. It's like, hey, these little exclusive discs, you get it in a nice little package. Oh, and by the way, the rest of the world, it's only for the US. It's like, okay, I get it. I know there's different departments of Disney Infinity. Like, there's the Disney Infinity UK team and Disney Infinity, I think Australia. There's like different teams, and I get it. But I feel like it was kind of like thrown under the rug. Like, it was an afterthought. Like, you know what? We kind of were late in production. Let's just get them out wherever we can. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of people were upset about it. But they were still great discs. Sorry, guys.
they were great. I managed to get hold of them. And it's the same with the Aladdin thing. I ended up buying the pack and ended up giving a friend the Aladdin figure, because, like, well, it just wasn't. It's like, well, thank you. Again, it was a bit of a mess, and they completely dropped. Well, they'd pretty much dropped the 2-packs and 3-packs idea for 2.0, and that was kind of like the last. We haven't seen any of those packs for 3.0, which makes a lot of sense now, because you haven't got the space in the stores for all these different setups. So it definitely felt like that was like the last remains of what was popular in the 1.0. They kind of learned over time, and we haven't seen anything like that in 3.0. So I'm kind of glad, that all that mess at the beginning of the year kind of went away quite quickly. And then we got on to the Vita release of 2.0, which came with the Spider-Man playset, and it came with the black suit Spider-Man. Now, I'm going to be honest. The Vita game, I thought it worked really well. I played through the playsets and did some toy box building. But the playset stuff was pretty cool. I actually was a good excuse for me, because I pretty much went through and played the playsets again. The Vita version was a bit of a pain in terms of how it was set up. It was a great idea in theory, but taking the whole portable situation away didn't work when you put it. I'm going on holiday and I'm like, I'm taking my Vita, and it's like, should I take Infinity? It's like, no, I'm not taking it because I haven't got enough room to carry the base and the figures and the power discs and the um play set pieces and stuff. And so you can't just take one character because then you know that if you're going to die, you're going to be stuck. And it was just like, no, I'm not taking it. So I chucked Lego in instead because it didn't work as a portable game. The game itself works really cool, and I really would love to see the toy box app that we see on like the Android and the iOS versions brought to Vita. I think that would work if it can work in that same format. That would work really well, and that's a great console to use it on. But the actual game itself was a bit of a mess in terms of the idea. The game itself works great, and if you're a Vita owner at home, it was a really cool version of it.
Yeah, and see, for me, one of the things that I thought was it was kind of odd that it released so late in the game. I mean, I think what like literally Disney Infinity 3.0 was announced and it was barely coming out, and it I mean the Vita version was barely coming out. I just the late release bothered me. Not to mention, if let's say you had one or the other to choose. I mean, yeah, Black Suit Spider-Man is great, but wait, I get 2 figures and the playset, and it's cheaper over here. I already have this game for my console. Might as well go this route if I already have it. But it does give the option for the PS Vita market, which is great because obviously there's a lack of games now for Vita, which that was nice for them to actually release it. And also the price tag. The price tag was kind of high as far as a starter pack goes. Especially again, it has one less figure, and for a console like Vita, it should have been a little bit cheaper for the Vita fans. But still, I mean, it was a great release, and when it was discounted, it was great because then you can get Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think that kind of leads into the big thing with it. I think there's a lot of Vita versions got sold to buy Black Suit Spider-Man, especially when they were being. I mean, I'm suspect GameStop is flooded with cartridges and bases because people were just trading in. And again, that came down to poor communication. The kind of thing of Sony obviously had the exclusive to that console and that figure, maybe for 2015, but it was always a bit kind of like, oh, we've got some kind of deal in place, but we can't mention it, which made it worse. And people were sort of angry they couldn't get hold of the figure, or they had to buy the starter pack. And the communication side of that was not great because, like I said, if that Black Suit Spider-Man thing had come out in October the previous year alongside the rest of the game, or a month later or so, it wouldn't have maybe been as bad. But the fact it came out like in May, and then suddenly the games were at the last bit and no one could get that last figure. Communicate, and even now, communication really was only last month. They said they kind of confirmed that it's coming.
Well, and that's you tap onto a great thing. I mean, communication. I remember being on a conference call with JV, and I kind of messed up my my dictation from that communication. I thought that there was going to be another interactive game piece that we didn't know about, but he meant, and I thought it was just Crystal Mickey. But he specifically said there's another variant figure coming out. You guys are going to love it. It's going to be amazing. And then when it comes out to be released just exclusively for the Vita version, just exclusively at GameStop, and it's late in the year, I mean, a lot of people were a little disappointed. And again, it's just like you said, communication is definitely key. Then again, I also don't want to point my finger at communication. I also want to say that maybe it was just poorly planned, and it just came to fruition at the very end. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to make it sound like they're not prepared at Disney headquarters or anything. It's just the way things have been coming out haven't been the greatest, especially accessories. But for 2.0 was a little mess.
I think, and this is kind of a reflection really on this year. For me, it felt like, we had like 6-7 months of 2.0 where everyone was creating toy boxes and really kind of getting into the toy box zone of it. But the whole hype of 2.0 felt to me like a lot of the artists and a lot of people were getting into toy box building. And the toy box basically dragged 2.0 through 2015. People were creating toy boxes, people were playing the toy boxes. There was a hype to try and get into the toy box summit, so people were trying to create as many toy boxes as possible, trying to make as good ones as possible. And I'm going to be honest, I feel like since 3.0 came out, that kind of has died down a lot. I don't know if it's been the amount of content being stretched out, or the toy box artists are now, because there's so many toys, they're spending longer on each toy box, so they're creating better toy boxes but less of them. I mean, I know the publicized stuff, but it feels like the toy box changed when it went to 3.0 in terms of suddenly everyone had play sets and toy box takeovers and stuff. There seemed to be a lot more to do in 3.0. So the toy box feels like it's taken a little bit of a backseat. I don't know what you think on that.
Yeah, I can see that. I definitely do. I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but I don't really, I don't seem to hear more about the toy box building, the artists, the teams that were hired into the company. I don't seem to be hearing more promotion on their self-built toy boxes. I mean, not as often anymore. 2.0, it was very obvious. It was a big push. 3.0, yeah, it seems like the toy box has become a part of Disney Infinity as opposed to, you know, the meat and potatoes. You know what I mean? Like, they used to be the meat. Now I feel like it's just another condiment in the whole game. So I don't know. It's interesting though. Either way, like you said, the push for toy boxes was big in 2.0 for sure. But yeah, I mean, was that the last of 2.0?
Yeah, the PS Vita was the last release for in May, or came in April, because then obviously we then hit end of April, beginning of May, and then kind of everything blew up.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's kind of, yeah, like I said, I think with the 2.0, you know, you had a big rush at the end from a lot of the toy box artists trying to get toy boxes out, trying to get as many as they want, or trying to get as placed in the top 5 and stuff. And there just seemed, you know, the big push from everyone to try and get featured, because everyone was hoping there was a toy box summit coming. But that leads us on to the 3.0 stuff, which is where things really sort of took a huge jump forward, because we knew there was something coming. We knew there was a preview coming, but we'd all been expecting it. I remember everyone was expecting May the 4th. Everyone was expecting Star Wars Celebration. I know you were there at the Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, everyone was just waiting.
Everyone was waiting for this kind of announcement to come. Everyone was looking for that trailer that, you know, instead of that, the Captain America shield coming in, some kind of video of a lightsaber. And every time Disney put out a trailer, everyone was like dissecting it to bits to see if we had this like teaser. And what was it? It was a Celebration, and then we went to May the 4th, and everyone's going, well, there's got to be and everyone was getting fever pitch for that announcement.
It never came.
And
it just never came.
No, and then obviously then what happened was 3.0 got announced through a massive article at Game Informer. However, like a day or two before, it leaked onto a couple of German retailers. So we all kind of saw this starter pack, so we knew it was coming. But then the Game Informer stuff came out, and they completely changed strategy from 2.0.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and not just the starter pack. I think also a bunch of the Disney originals leaked as well.
Oh, from China, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I believe somebody that was working in the factory stole a couple of figures and put them up for sale, which was the dumbest thing ever. Because then they backtracked and found this guy, and I don't know what happened with the rest of the story, but somebody got in trouble. Anyways, yeah, when you said this Game Informer article came out, this was leaps and bounds compared to 2.0. 2.0, they were trying to be secretive about every single figure, and they would release 1 or 2 at a time, little bits of information, things would leak out. But I felt like after all those leaks for 3.0, once this article came out, it's like it never happened, because they just gave us a wealth of information. I mean, you're talking about the toy box and farming, and then there's Speedway coming, and then these are the first 2 play sets, and then even a little teaser saying, hey, watch out, there's still Force Awakens and Marvel Battlegrounds coming. Well, they didn't say Marvel Battlegrounds, they said just a Marvel play set. We didn't even know it was Battlegrounds back then. And it was just it was overwhelming, because not only was the article in their magazine, but they also had like this featurette where they were releasing an article every day online, and it was for what, like 2 weeks, I think, or a week or 2 weeks, I think. And it was just something new over and over again. And the fact that that cover not only gave us images of figures from Disney figures, Star Wars, but also Marvel figures, it just got a lot of people really excited, and that was awesome.
Yeah, I must admit, I think that content release that they put out in May, it really kind of was like, right, this is what's coming out. This is going to stop the questions. This is going to stop that. Where's my Disney? Where's my Marvel? Where's all this? This was like straight out the bat. This. All the stuff that they'd done that hadn't worked with 2.0, they had hit the nail on the head with just like, there is Disney characters and there's Disney playsets coming. There's Star Wars. This is not Disney Infinity Star Wars. This is everything. And they came out with all that content. In one way, it was a bit like, oh my god, there's so much content to go through, but we couldn't. It was quite hard to take it all in because I think we've been so used to drip drabs and leaks and stuff that we had all of this come through. So it was a massive explosion of information in May, which I'm going to be honest, I think worked a lot better than that big presentation for the Marvel, and I think it answered a lot of questions. I mean, a lot of people had more questions, but I think it put so many people at ease straight away of what was going on with it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely a different tactic, and obviously it paid off. I mean, because it wasn't just that. I mean, when those articles were going up on the website, it wasn't just a story here, a story there. I mean, they were doing photo shoots, they were doing interviews, they were releasing videos, content. I mean, it was definitely a game changer as far as the way they presented stuff. Not to mention, I think it exploded. I believe Disney Infinity went viral on Twitter and online. It was really big. I think I remember seeing JB's tweets on how happy and excited he was. But yeah, that was the main event when that finally happened on Revenge of the Fifth.
Yeah, it was like, I think that was a very well done launch in terms of getting the information out. Unfortunately, there's, like I said, it had that leaks to build up to it, but when it came, everything just blew that out of the water because we knew so much, and I think that worked really well. And it's that kind of situation. I think, that seemed a lot more better way of getting out in communications, which then led into basically the promotion side of things for the next like 2 months or so, because they were a bit wishy-washy on the release date. But we then had was it San Diego Comic-Con? We had and E3, and there was a couple of other Gamescom and stuff before the launch, going through releasing bits and pieces, and they set up this big display unit, and each time they were showing off basically everything they announced in that Game Informer stuff. I know you were able to go to those events.
Yeah, no, yeah, they were great events. Those displays are gorgeous, they're beautiful, but I hated them because it just started so many rumors, and people I still hear people saying, oh, there's 16 Disney figures still coming. Like, what are you guys talking about? Stop looking at these blank spaces. No, but these events were great. I mean, I've actually been to I think I've been to every E3 since Disney Infinity. And you know what? Scratch that. I was at D23 when Disney Infinity was announced, but then I was at E3 for 2.0 and then 3.0. And they usually use the same booth either way, wherever they are. And I'm telling you, from year 1 to year 3, it's grown drastically. This year's booth was gorgeous. I mean, it was huge like signs and paintings of all these Star Wars figures and scenes from the play sets. Awesome pieces of art showing. The first time they actually showed people the actual prototype figures. They even made a power disc, like, I don't know, bead wall thing. I mean, they did a lot of cool things. They give you these great experiences. And this year, of all years, this year they were handing out play sets and figures like they had them for a while. It was just, I think this game was definitely a lot more developed, and they had plenty more time to figure out things. I mean, obviously, when launch came, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, there was a big hiccup, but these events were great. Comic-Con was also awesome. open to the public, doing scavenger hunts, giving away starter packs and the PlayStation packs and even suitcases, doing tournaments. This is the first year they did a huge tournament where it was broadcast on the Disney Channel and they gave away a cruise. I mean, at these events, it was really, really well done.
Yeah, I think the promotion side of things this year have really ramped up. I think obviously because the game's that much more successful, they've kind of got the money behind it to put the advertising. And I think adding in like Twitch added extra functionality, because when they were at these events, they were able to give us content live and have these events, which was great for us at home, that weren't at the events. I think, being able to sit there and watch that San Diego Comic-Con event and seeing these things really helped. I mean, obviously San Diego was a little bit of a disappointment because the big reveal kind of got squished. We still haven't had it officially announced yet. I mean, that is what's
true.
Quite true. We're 5 months later, and the little image and the little comments about a little pint-sized little sort of
something
superhero.
Big is coming.
Yeah, something big is coming, and this little dot on the screen. Ant-Man. I still can't believe we are coming to the end of 2015 and they still haven't officially announced Ant-Man. And they teased, and they didn't just tease it at San Diego Comic-Con. I mean, they pretty much put, here is the picture we're expecting to kind of announce. It almost felt like, the video's coming up in an hour kind of thing. It was odd.
It felt like literally like right during the presentation, it felt like somebody told them, no, don't do it. Don't say it. We axe that. And it's like, really? You even advertised by showing all these Marvel characters and Hulk with the little tiny guy standing on his hand, and yet you can't say anything about it. That was kind of odd. Not to mention the drawing that he made. The little come on. Anyways, whatever. It was still a fun event. It was a huge letdown because they did promise a reveal, and then they said, no, we didn't promise anything. So it's like,
Yeah, I think it's that thing. I think San Diego Comic-Con was still that kind of thing. Like, they hyped it, they gave all this thing, and then they went, nope. And everyone's like, you did announce, but then not kind of similar. They did the same thing like back in November when they said, we're gonna have a new figure party, and everyone's like, new figures, and it's like, no, we didn't mean it like that. We just
actually,
the ones that are out.
If we can back up just a little bit, after Comic-Con, then they did some Twitch shows, and I think they had somebody on. I forget who it was. It was like Mike somebody or whatever, saying that they were going to be a Gamescom, I think, in Germany or whatever, and that they were going to have a big surprise there too, and nothing happened. The only thing, the only thing that they did was anything Marvel related was later on at New York Comic-Con, where they did the Marvel Battlegrounds tournament, but they had already revealed Battlegrounds at D23. So it feels so weird. Why are they being so secretive? We know it's coming. It's just why. Anyways, we'll get into that still, because we're still at certain events behind. But yeah, Comic-Con was fun. They again, great events. Everything was cool. I believe what was the date range? Comic-Con was July. So
Comic-Con was July, and that led us into August for D23.
Wait a second. No. There was something before that. Yeah, now I remember. Actually, I think it was close to. It was during. It was before E3. When they did the Inside Out screening at Patan, and even that was great because they gave everybody play sets. This is E3. They're talking about it. They just announced it like a month, and they're giving people play sets. Not to mention at E3 they gave. They let 40 people in, I think, and they also gave them the Rise Against play sets. Those were great events.
Yeah, and I think I think they cottoned on to this concept, and I know it's a big thing now, really, with social media and stuff. Is the concept of if you get these figures into fans' hands, they can do a lot of publicity. They can reach a much bigger audience than, if you give somebody the chosen few that are at the event these toys. They are on social media. They're sharing about it. They're hyped. They basically become your street team for giving them a figure, and that it's a very powerful toy tool for any kind of company, and I think that worked perfectly. And I got to, I think they did that very, very well in 2015.
I was gonna say, picking back off of what you just said, at the past two E3s I've been to, Disney Infinity figures have been the top collectible that people have lined up for. I believe this year that some place had like some Funko minis that they were giving away, but they were exclusive to certain media people, so not everybody can get them. But Amiibos, Nintendo did give away Amiibos, and Lego didn't give away Dimensions figures. I know Skylanders gave away these little collectible card things, but not everybody was crazy about them. But the Disney Infinity figures, those were popular the past 2 years at E3. But yeah, anyways, jump into the summit.
Yes. So we had the D23 Expo, which Disney sort of promised a lot of information. There was a big video game Disney Interactive presentation with there was Star Wars Battlefront, there was Kingdom Hearts, there was new mobile games, and
forgot the summit though. The summit was first.
No, the summit. The summit was leading up to D23, which was kind of really interesting because they announced the toy box artists who had I think it was over 7 toy box wins could get into it, and they all went out there, and it was taking place in Disneyland, and I know AB were at the event. It kind of. And it was all ahead of the D23 Expo, and everyone was excited. It was like a week-long Disney fest of live streams from Twitch, which was, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say straight off the bat, being able to watch the Twitch streams from the Toy Box Summit, being able to watch the Twitch stream from San Diego Comic Con, and that E3 presentation, I'm going to be made those events for me because I was on the other side of an ocean. And I was able to enjoy it and take part of it and be part of that experience, even though I was thousands. And I know a lot of fans did that. And that's why I think this year, the event side of things has really ramped up because we can all enjoy it. We can all take part. And I think that, even at Toy Box Summit, those of us that weren't at the event were able to see it. We had a camera in the room watching it, and it was great.
And it's not an ocean; it's a pond. It's not that far away. No, but I was going to say, yeah. You know what? I mean, I got to experience the event, and Disney did do. It was immaculate. Like what they did was, oh man, it was amazing. I mean, they treated these artists like royalty. No joke. I mean, they were in nice suites in the Grand California Hotel. We had a nice little that I was invited to a nice little private party, separated from all the guests at Disneyland, being fed and given drinks, and had a band and all that. And you had like photo ops with Mickey and Minnie, and they let us go into Walt's apartment, which was an amazing experience. I know. Jason from Infinity Inquirer and Will from Disney Infinity TV. We were just in there like reminiscing, like saying like, "Wow, I can't believe the love of a video game just brought us in here. It's crazy." So I mean, it was just everything they did was amazing. And the summit, I mean, they really decked out the place, and they invited folks to come in. They were giving away PlayStations like they were candy. I mean, it was amazing. And just to see all the Toy Box artists in action after hours, finally get to experience seeing them, what they're doing. I mean, I didn't get to say all the time, but seeing, just the labor of love these guys put into this game is really, really cool. Just to get to be in theme parks. I mean, it was a great experience. And then that alone would have been worth it. But then right after that, you have D23. That was pretty epic, and you were tapping into it. All these gaming announcements, and they had the whole booth set up just like they had at E3, except this time they had Star Wars game pods, and they had Battlefront there. I mean, they had all these things there at the Disney Infinity booth, and giving away more figures, showing you more experiences. But then again, it leads up to some great announcements, and I'll let you take over there again.
Yeah, because I mean, at the D23 Expo, we found out about the light effects figures. We found out about the ultimate unlock with the Kingdom Hearts, and this was about a week from launch. We were literally about I think 1 or 2 weeks away from the launch of the game.
Yeah.
So it was really at fever pitch. But again, they kept giving us information. Some of it was Spot, and I think as well by having the Toy Box Summit, allowed a lot of people to see what was going on in the toy box, but they were still pushing those figures and the play sets that this was what was coming, and it was the one big final push to say, right, this is the game, this is out, this is coming, and it was a massive explosion. It's like going into 2016, it'll be a very, very different experience because it's there's no D23 event next year, but I think it was just this big long week of Disney information, and I think it just kept. It was just before launch. Everyone was at fever pitch. It was perfect timing.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they announced a lot. I mean, the Light Effects figures. They revealed Battlegrounds for the first time. They talked about. They revealed Spot and Judy and Nick. And then they ultimate unlock with the Keyblade, and then they talked about two different things that caused an uproar and then also a lot of controversy. One was at the end of the summit. Everybody, the toy box builders, they've built a committee, and they were in charge to choose one figure that everybody was going to get year's time, and they announced that figure at D23, which everybody was hoping or thinking it would be Darkwing Duck, but it wasn't. It was Peter Pan, and that's a great choice. Everybody loves Peter Pan. That goes with Tinkerbell. But then the other one was awesome and sucked at the same time for a lot of people. But they actually released for once, they actually released an exclusive to an event, which was just a Paradise. And people complain about Paradise all the time, that they don't want them, they don't like them, they don't need them. But when you say, here's one that only 5,000 people can get, people get crazy and upset. And it so happens to be also Kingdom Hearts content, which there's a huge fan base.
Yeah.
So it was just a King Mickey. All it is a skin. People pay DLC money for all these other games. It's just a skin. It's not a big deal. I mean, I can say that because I have one. People are going to say that, yeah, you could talk all you want because you got one. But the truth is, it was just a power disc, and people were just, there was no need to like throw insults and yell at JV and the team and all that stuff. It was dumb.
I think it was one of those situations again of the frustration from the fans that reached fever pitch, because I think I think as well Disney done such a great job of seeming to be looking after the fans, that to go and make to do another mistake, people did react very, very badly. I think it's going to be a time thing. I think we're going to see a King Mickey figure anyway. But I'm going to leave that one. I'm going to leave that one for next week's show when we talk about 2016.
Why make a game based on a game? It makes no sense. And then the common response that people say, Wreck-It Ralph. No, that's a movie. It's not a game. But,
they're going to spread out that Kingdom Hearts content to try and get another 5 years before we get Kingdom Hearts 3. But
anyways, tune into a future episode where we still talk about this nonsense.
It's kind of what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that there at the D23. So I'm going to slightly skip over launch and just slightly tap onto the end of the New York Comic Con as the last kind of event of the year, where Travis was at the event. They showed off Marvel backgrounds. They gave us a trailer. They showed off Ultron, and
then they had a tournament.
And then they kind of announced the first Avenger figure for 2016, which was kind of like it. That again was a very kind of lukewarm reaction.
Well, at first,
I still don't think there's a lot of people that excited about it. I thought it was a great way of how they kind of tapped into that Comic-Con, and I love the fact that they had their own Comic-Con to talk about Marvel. There was nothing about Star Wars. There was no anything else. It was about them. And it's still another 3-4 months away before we get the game. But I think that was a good thing to kind of keep the Marvel fans happy, because I still think the whole of the period that we'd had was this Marvel like shadow in the background. It was like we couldn't talk about Marvel. There's a figure coming. There's stuff coming, but we can't talk about it. And they still can't talk about it. And I think that seemed to spread right through from May, right through to New York Comic Con. Where's the Marvel?
Well, here let me jump in just so I can clarify a bunch of things. First of all, people were accepting Captain America lukewarm, and you can clearly blame Comic-Con San Diego Gamescom in Germany because everybody was expecting to hear the words Ant-Man. Everybody was expecting to hear the words Ant-Man, and instead they say Captain America. And they said Captain America even before they showed us what he looked like, and people were like,
Yeah.
but we already have him. We're blah, 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 blah. And then they release it, and fans rejoice because not only is this a more epic pose, but all the fangirls who love Chris Evans like see the likeness in his figure because it looks really cool. All the Captain America fans like myself, like, hey, I like it because it's cool. It's Captain America. All the Marvel fans are like, this is awesome. This is cool. This is a nice collectible. If I don't play the game, I can buy this and put it somewhere. Yeah, then all the other fans who are like, I already have this figure. Why do I want this? Then they tell us it's a completely different figure and it plays differently. It has all these different epic moves. It's kind of like Sorcerer Mickey and then Classic Mickey. They play differently. Yeah. They look differently. And I don't know. But yeah, I understand. Look, let me be fair and go to the opposite end. Okay, why give me another Captain America if you can give me a new character I haven't seen? Well, let's also be smart and say that this is a business. They have not only this is the 75th anniversary of Captain America next year, but we have an epic movie coming out that has Captain America in the title. So you just got to think, it just makes sense. I still think, and I'm going to stick to it until I say you guys were right and I'm wrong, but apparently they said that Captain America, the First Avenger, will be packaged in the playset Marvel Battlegrounds at New York Comic Con. They said that, apparently, or allegedly. I think they said it mistakenly. I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, I was wrong.
Right. Okay. So now let's get into the meat and two veg. So now we had the launch of the game came out in end of August. Massively well. We had Inside Out and we had Twilight of the Republic out at launch. We also had the digital download version to keep everybody happy that way. We also had the Saga bundle, which had the Boba Fett figurine and the Rise of the Empires playset, which was a month early, and also, more importantly, they got a month's head start on Skylanders and Lego Dimensions with their starter packs. So it felt literally like the whole of that month, all the fans, everyone had so much to do. It still feels now that period between sort of August and September was just a great month to be an Infinity fan because you had the game, you had these play sets, you had so much content to play.
Absolutely. I mean, and like you said, and you pointed out that only the PlayStation bundle packs had the Rise Against the Empire playset, which means they only officially released 2 playsets at launch, and it gave us a month to wait for new content, which was the Rise Against the Empire playset. The spacing that they've done with the launch is phenomenal. I mean, yeah, they gave us a bunch of figures to appease all the fans. I mean, you had the Disney figures. You even had like the Tron figures to appease all the fans who were upset about that in 2.0. And the Star Wars figures, beautifully sculpted, looks great. We've been wanting Star Wars for a while. We got it. The playsets were awesome. They both play differently, even compared to the Inside Out playset. All 3 playsets towards the beginning launch all played differently. All played awesome. And let's not even just mention that. Let's talk about the hub that they introduced in 3.0. It's great. There's a lot to do. There's things, the tutorials were handled a lot better. You have the hub to go play other toy boxes. And then you had something that kind of caused an issue, which was online play at the Tron, the Tron Center or whatever, the arcade. Yeah, Tron Arcade. I don't know why I said Center. But anyways, aside from that, we'll get into that. Everything was cool. Everything was awesome.
Okay.
Great game. And like you said, the head start was such a smart move. But yeah,
it's definitely, and it's like leading on to that because we kind of, we had the launch and we had the Rise of the Empire stuff a month later. Then a few weeks later we had Speedway, and then a few weeks later we had the Marvel and Spot and Power Disc, and then a few weeks later we started seeing the light effects figures. Over the next couple of weeks we had that. Then we led into Force Awakens playset, and it's felt like since August we have had content, new figures every month for the last 5 months.
Hulkbuster, Spot.
Yeah,
we all spread out.
And I think they have done a fantastic job of spreading out that content in 2015. This is what we wanted with 2.0 and 1.0, and I can't say enough that I loved how they have handled the the spreading out of that content, the idea that we had a playset 3 months after launch, and we still got more stuff to come. That was what we needed. This is why it keeps people coming back into the game, keeps bringing people back in, but I also think it's a reason why people keep jumping back into the play sets and doing stuff, because they ironed out those kinks from 2.0. And it's just been really good, I think, having the sort of post-launch period of having constant content.
Yeah, and I mean, not to mention Black Friday sales just spoke leaps and bounds about how great the game was, because I mean, you had tons. I think it was rated 4th as far as one of the most purchased game for Black Friday, and the highest competitor was an 11th place. They did great. Not to mention the fact that, because Star Wars it's like the year of Star Wars this year, because of the hype of this movie and the secrecy of this playset, it caused a lot of places to sell out of a lot of Star Wars things. I'll tell you this much: I went to 3 different stores the Friday when the movie came out, and I did not find a single Force Awakens figure. I'm sure they restocked by then, but like I hear people that they have tons of like Kylo Rens and stuff like that now. But when I went to those 3 stores, you couldn't find anything.
I've had the opposite effect. I've been into stores, and it seems like the only video game store has them in. None of the else had them in. But anyway, it's. I think also, and this will lead into our next year's show that we're going to do next week. I think the price and availability of that starter pack has been a massive blessing for 3.0. They are out in stores, especially now since like Black Friday. Now you can go pick up a starter pack or that single disc so cheap. That starter pack is the gateway for people, and they are using it as the gateway to get people into the game. They lowered the price, they brought it in, they made it smaller, and I think the whole thing is to keep that starter pack as low as possible to hook people in. When you see Lego Dimensions starter pack sat next to it for 3 to 4 times the price, I mean, yeah, you'll have superchargers next to it for the same price, but no one's buying that. Lego and Infinity have had this year, and I still think that is a massive draw, because even now, post Christmas, all the sales, Infinity's still like, you can get that starter pack for next to nothing, whereas Lego Dimensions is still being pushed at 3-4 times the price. You have to have £25 or £75 starter packs. Massive difference in the sale. That is a huge difference, and I think that's been Disney's strong point this year, is getting people into it and having these digital. But the digital version was so cheap at launch, and it's only going to get cheaper. And it's just being used as a great way of getting you into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such a great value either way. It just packs a lot, and I think this year was definitely. I'm going to say I think it's Disney Infinity's year. I mean, as much as Lego Dimensions has been a hit, I still think the price point has been its biggest enemy. And Star Wars. It's the year Star Wars. I mean, everybody loves Star Wars. Well, hopefully everybody loves Star Wars.
But this is the thing. I think even with I think obviously with Star Wars fans, 2015 has been a great year. But I still feel like, if you're a Marvel fan, you kind of didn't get a great 2015 from 3.0 because there wasn't a huge amount. I think the Disney side of things was a lot better. I think there was a massive difference because you had the Inside Out playset, you had Speedway and Toy Box Takeover, and the Hub and the toy boxes. So there was a lot of content. Even if you weren't interested in Star Wars, there was stuff there to be had. I think for Star Wars fans, we got royally treated to a great year. And I think I'm going to agree. I think 2015, has been the best year of Infinity in the last 3 years. I just feel it's been a lot better. Obviously, the first year was slightly difficult because you only really had 4 months of it, and we had the launch and we had all the places. But they were trying to sell it to you. They were trying to hook you into it. This year, they didn't need to do that. But they've been hitting out good content, good information. There's still a lot of improvements that are to be made with communication, I still think. But I think 2015 has been the year. It's been the strongest year for Infinity to date.
You know what's funny too is that I think one of the strongest. I think one of Disney Infinity's strengths is also their biggest enemy, which is communication, because they're definitely the only Toys Life game that actually communicates with its fans the most. And at the same time, when we're expecting to hear stuff, we kind of don't hear communication, so it's their biggest enemy. But or the way they sell stuff or advertise stuff. But either way, I mean, I honestly think for me, one of the things that I feel like they should improve on is definitely testing bugs and stuff like that. Because that patch for the first few months we suffered through was you just don't do that. You don't make people wait 2 months after you launch a game for a patch.
No.
And yeah, honestly, I think I've played Disney Infinity 2.0. I played Disney Infinity online like there was no tomorrow. That's all I did on Disney Infinity 2.0 is playing online. But 3.0, I think I've played online 3 or 4 times. That's it.
Yeah. I'm gonna be. I still think that they have got to get their head around doing more updates more often. They did the patch notes, look great, but that patch update with the online and stuff was very badly handled. Day one patches and problems with games are commonplace in video games nowadays, but they can't keep saving everything up and doing one big upload. It might cost money, but that's causing problems for gamers. And like I honestly feel like the online system, I don't know if it's going to be able to get that trust back, because every time I've tried using the Trons area, I've just sat there waiting matchmaking for hours. I've just barely, and I didn't trust it, and it's fine now, but I lost that initial go
Same
to it,
here.
and I don't know if it's gonna ever and no one you never really hear anyone talking about it. It's supposed to be this big thing for the game, and I don't feel they messed it up. And it's the one, I'm going to be honest, I think it was like the one thing they messed up, and by not fixing it and not getting it fixed and just fixing it and worrying about all the rest of the stuff later, I don't know, I think they lost some momentum on that side of things.
No, I agree. I mean, I honestly don't even touch it. In fact, I think I attempted to one time with a friend after it was finally working, supposedly, and I connected, and then he connected, so we expected to see each other on the screen, and we never got connected to any games. I mean, I feel like there's still a lot of kinks, and especially to that aspect. So yeah, I agree. I don't play that at all. If anything, I've loved the additional content. I mean, the play sets, the expansion games, even just playing in the hub. The hub was great. I mean, even the little farming was an epic hit for a lot of people. I mean, obviously when you max it out, then it kind of dies down, but still, yeah, the patching thing needs to definitely. You know what I think? Now that I think about it, I feel like they put more thought and time into making sure that the Star Wars stuff was locked up, than they did on working on that patch. That's what I think. And let's just hope that this improves for Marvel Battlegrounds, because that one is going to be DLC. So
yeah, I do wonder if they were like, we can't, don't send anything to the computers in case it unlocks stuff. Just don't send any patches.
Yeah,
Don't
makes sense.
unlock anything. Just do. But hopefully that these will be things they improve next year. But I think that's pretty much going to wrap up the 2015 recap. We'd love to know your highlights today, what you liked, what you didn't. Comment below, get in touch with us, find all the information there. Next week's show, kicking off 2016, we're going to go in full-on prediction mode. We're going to have complete, just free-for-all, random thoughts, no kind of constraints, and that's going to be a bit of fun, because it's always fun to look back on that and see how wrong we were or how right we were, because it's usually a mix of the two. So next week's show is going to be should be a lot of fun, and I think we'll both be having a long think about that over the next week before we do it, which is only a few days away actually, because we'll be on normal schedule again when we get into the new year. But yeah. So anyway, just like to thank everyone. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're on iTunes, if you're on YouTube as well. Be sure to as well check us out at disneykingdom.com. You might notice a few changes. We are just going through a little bit of lick of paint. We're giving it the website an overhaul, so hopefully we'll be completely finished by next week. So that'll be nice for the new year. And also big shout out to Ethan at sorterapps.com and Magic Band Collectors for being Patreon. Really does help having the support of you guys and all of our other patrons as well. And yep, just big thank you again for everyone for helping out over 2015. Been a really great year for us. Disney Kingdom's first full year, and it's been a great year, and we just we've loved doing the Infinity content. And yeah, just big thank you for everyone for joining us.
Yeah, also thank you to all the podcast listeners. Hopefully our voices are pleasing while you are on your way to work or just sitting at home listening to your devices. So
yes,
thank you to you guys too.
Yep. Thank you very much, guys, and see you guys in a later video. Later.
Adios. Bye.